I'm leaving my wife because she can't get over her mom's death. I know the title may upset some people, but please read the whole post before making a judgment. My wife's mother passed away 5 years ago from brain cancer. It was a difficult death. Our lives understandably went on pause after the diagnosis, and we both spent a lot of time off work helping care for her mother. My wife showed typical grief at the time, going through different stages. Same with our 3 kids. After she passed, however, my wife struggled deeply. I totally understand. Though I haven't lost a parent, I grasp how devastated she was. For months after, she could barely function. I gently took over most household and kid responsibilities. She had been attending grief counseling since the diagnosis and continued after the passing. None of this is the problem. I tried to be as supportive as possible. For months she cried on my shoulder each night. I saw this as part of for better or worse. The issue is that after 5 years, she doesn't seem any better or more functional. She stopped grief counseling about 4 years ago, refusing to go again, stating it wouldn't help and nothing could. About a month before any major holiday, she has a major downturn, in bed half the day, crying all day, unwilling to interact with family, no energy for housework. This goes on until about a week after the holiday ends. Every holiday brings intense grief, just as much now as 5 years ago. October through January, her mom's birthday month, are particularly bad. I'm essentially a single parent for 6 months out of the year. When I say incapacitated, I mean it. In her grief depths she can't be intimate with me or the kids, no cuddling, spending time, outings. There's no intimacy for half the year. I've stopped asking to talk about it because between sobs she can't speak. What hurts most is the kids aren't concerned anymore. They go about their day, casually mentioning mom is sad today if asked. They rarely seek affection from her now. I've discussed this with therapists and others, so I'll preempt some rebuttals. She refuses grief counseling or depression treatment. I can't force her to go. I've tried a lot. It really is just as intense as 5 years ago. I never tell her to get over it or blow her off. On bad days I give space. Most days I try to comfort her. Leaving her alone brings caretaker fatigue. She has no depression history, but does have ADHD. Don't know if that's relevant. I feel like I lost my wife when her mom died. I'd do anything to get even a small piece of her back, but she doesn't seem willing or able to move on. I feel awful considering divorce, but don't know what else to do. Update post, 6 days later. My soon-to-be ex-wife has lost her mind. After my last post I spent days writing her a letter. I explained the kids and I love her, and we're concerned for her. I outlined the worrying behavior and said I believe she needs more medical care. I said it sounded like complex grief, and the prior grief therapy was insufficient. I didn't mention divorce, but said the kids can't continue like this. It was a long letter. I read it to her after the kids were asleep. She stared right through me for probably 15 minutes, then started walking to the door. I panicked, trying to stop her, asking where she was going. Can we talk? I'm worried for your safety. She rolled her eyes and coldly said, I hope when your parents die someone doesn't tell you to get over it. After that I didn't try to stop her, I let her go. I thought she would hurt herself. I checked my phone, location off. I called and texted pleading with her to let me know she was alright. Right before calling the police, her phone rang. A man said she's fine but doesn't want to talk to you and hung up. I felt out of body. I had no idea what was happening. I almost called the cops anyway but disassociated and talked myself out of it. I kept calling all night, then it went to voicemail. I barely slept. She wasn't home in the morning. I took the kids to school/daycare, thankfully they didn't ask where mom was. I tried calling all morning, still voicemail. I called her work and they said she called in sick. I also called in sick. I sat on the couch trying to reach her, an anxious wreck. I called my mom to pick up and watch the kids overnight, saying something urgent had come up and I needed help, without explaining everything. My wife walked in sometime after 4 p.m. I tried to hug her but she pulled away. I asked where she'd been, no response, blank stare. I asked who called me from her phone, same. I said if she didn't want to explain she could get out. I regret my frustration now but I was so angry. She started talking like a robotic text-to-speech with no emotion. She said she went to her friend John's apartment. I had no idea who he was and asked her to explain. Over 2 hours, prying out details, I got the story. John is a coworker I've met once or twice but never talked to. I never saw them hang out or him show interest in her. But apparently for the past year she has been confiding her grief over her mom to him. He also lost a parent to illness so she felt a connection. After reading my letter she says she realized I don't care about her or her mom's death and went to John's for comfort. I asked if they were having an affair, she said no. I asked why she never mentioned this close male friend and she said it was none of my business. I asked if anything happened between them and she said they cuddled and he held her while she cried. I asked to see her phone to check their messages. She refused. When she showered, I tried her phone, changed passcode. I grabbed her iPad which still had my fingerprint and checked there. I left to look through it. I didn't immediately see messages to slash from a John, but after digging, I found it. She had put him in her contacts as Stacy but it was obviously him. Texts went back over a year, her talking about her mom, him comforting, him saying I don't care and he never would treat her that way if married. All her replies agreeing. Many texts complaining about me, him trash talking me. The night she left, she texted him I'm on my way over if the offer still stands and he immediately replied yes. Then next morning she texted if he asks, we just talked. I threw up in a Walmart parking lot. I came home and she was on the couch, seemingly unaware I had left. I said I knew, and she needed to leave. Again blank stare until I shouted to get out. She said John was right about you and left. I haven't seen her since. I told the kids she is visiting her parents. I don't know what to tell them. I need to divorce her, but custody, support, etc. is overwhelming. I feel paralyzed, haven't made a move yet. I know she's had some psychotic break, but I can't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face at work and for the kids, then cry myself to sleep. I feel my life is over. I do think John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I doubt she'll see he's a predator. She chose this over her family.